When you live to tick it before you kick it, it's pretty important that you power your adventure with the right nutrition. Not just when you decide to take on the biggest physical and mental challenge of your life, like I did retracing the 1928 Tour de France, but also as a part of everyday living. Working overtime on a double shift, running the kids all over town to their sporting events, adding a few extra miles to your weekly hike, or getting sleep deprived with a hectic travel schedule. I'm proud to announce BUCKiT Nutrition is now an official sponsor of our podcast, and just for you, giving a 10% discount on all BUCKiT nutritional products. Go to Amazon.com and use promo code BUCKiT10, that's BUCKiT with an IT, 10, for a 10% discount on BUCKiT nutritional products. Great tasting, high-performance nutrition to help you tick it before you kick it. It's 5:30 a.m., and this shock jock is about to return to the airwaves again, having been fired from his radio show 9 months earlier. Mancow is no stranger to lawsuits and FCC fines. He's been handed dozens of them over the years, and this is not the first time he's been kicked off the air either. But this outspoken radio personality, known for his bizarre stunts, is ready to make an outrageous comeback. Why walk into the studio when you can just mail yourself to the radio station in a cardboard box, arriving just minutes before drive time begins? I mean, really, nothing could be easier, right?
I knew I couldn't go back.
You just put it out there.
She said you've got less than a year to live.
Just dug even
Luck
deeper.
is the residue of design.
Nobody else was doing it, so why couldn't I?
That was the turning point.
Welcome to the BUCKiT Podcast with Phil Kogan. Every week I talk to mavericks, disruptors, and innovators. People who ditch the excuses, swerve off the predictable road, and epitomize what it means to tick it before you kick it.
I have been fined millions of dollars. So there is no free speech. It's like so many things in America. Land of the free, land of the free, land of the free, land of the free. It's brainwashing. Free speech, America, free speech. You don't really have free speech.
Eric Mancow Muller is an American radio and television personality, actor, and former child model. He's won Billboard's magazine Major Market Radio Personality of the Year title more than once. He was syndicated into more than a dozen states, and he had a TV series deal. His radio career began while he was in college in a small town in Missouri, playing local commercials during satellite broadcasts of The Larry King Show. He eventually moved to San Francisco, and that's where he pulled a massive stunt that gained him national publicity and notoriety and got him his next gig, this time in Chicago. It didn't take long for his show to rank number one in 18 to 54-year-old white males, and his ratings continued to skyrocket for many years. Mancow is opinionated and rubs a lot of people up the wrong way, but his loyal listeners love him and follow him with a cult-like devotion. 25 years later, this Chicago shock jock continues to make waves. And despite high ratings, this controversial radio personality was fired from his mid-morning show after 17 years on March 6, 2019. But he's now back on the air again and continues to give the people of Chicago a voice. I caught up with him when I was in Chicago doing open casting for a new television show that I'm doing for CBS called Tough as Nails.
I like that I do a radio show that's free for everybody. You're on a TV show that's free for everybody.
Yeah, and that's a big thing for you, right?
Yeah.
The idea that you want it to be free, and because you don't want it to be elitist, right? Is that the idea?
Correct. This show is for regular people to have a voice. I believe in free speech. I got the tattoo, free speech first.
Yep.
That has some symbolism, the American flag, the two hands together. It's my relationship with the listener. And look, I'm not holier than thou or anything, but these trash guys that call, the truckers, the regular guys, and Mancow, you say the things that we wish we could say, but we'd be fired. That's the greatest compliment.
So why the passion? Where does that come from? Is it from your dad? Was it from your upbringing? Like, where's that passion come from?
Phil, it's from meeting people. It's just from meeting my fans.
Right.
And
do you feel like you're misunderstood? Do you feel like people maybe they hear a little snippet of your show and they think, oh, that guy is crass and abrasive and rude? And
you heard it today. You did my radio show today.
Yeah.
And you heard it from three different people.
Yeah.
The guy that played Potsy on
Happy Days,
and the guy that's doing the anyway, they all say you're very nice,
yes.
like shocking.
Right.
I don't get it. But I guess there is some look. The character of Mancow is a character.
Yeah.
It's a. I had the #1 urban show in San Francisco, Oakland, and San Jose. I created a format called Wild 107. There was a big debate over whether I could. This is 25 years ago this year. Over whether I could get anybody white to listen to me.
Really?
Yeah. I was #1 in Oakland. So they didn't know if anybody. So the character that I did in Chicago is a phony, hey, every boss jock.
Yeah.
What I would call a boss jock.
Yeah.
So that bluster, which is a total gag, the tough guy, is a joke. To me, it's hilarious. So and for 25 years, whenever anybody challenges me, hey, I don't want to fight, pal. It's a stupid show. I'm kind of a weasel in that way. So to me, it's funny. But anyone that takes it seriously, first of all, it's called Mancow.
Yeah.
How do you take that seriously?
And let's explain that to people who don't know, like
Yeah.
where that came from, why you came up with it.
Stan Freberg was a radio pioneer, and he would do things where he would do soundscapes and add a lot of sound effects, and you saw it on the radio. Oh my God, the wires are breaking. The 6,000-pound tomato is dropping. Oh my God, what's in your glove box there? Oh, it's a rhinoceros in my glove box. You saw it on the radio. So I heard those as kids growing up in Kansas City, Suicide Falls, Missouri. And that's what I was trying to do. So I did a character called Mancow. And if a girl was thirsty, well, here, I can help. And he would unzip his pants and they would scream in horror because he had an udder. So then people would start going, you're the Mancow guy. Because Herman Lipschitz, my real name, isn't memorable. No. So that's how the Mancow thing happened. Just people, I didn't pick it picked me.
So do you think a lot of people tune in and they just take it all too seriously, what they hear?
Morons.
Yeah.
Morons. What I love is I've listened to you for 25 years, but today you irritated me.
You went over the line.
Today, when did you wake? But I've never done. People say shock jock, but I don't consider myself a shock jock. Shock jocks say things to be shocking.
Yeah.
I'm a Christian guy. I go to church every Sunday. I don't cheat on my wife. Those are shocking things to some people. So no matter what you say, you're going to be offensive to somebody.
So why is it then you've got in trouble? Like,
well, I got in trouble, and again, it's the regular guy situation. It cost me $2.5 million, me personally.
Yeah.
Some glitch in the insurance. It wasn't covered. I had to pick up trash alongside the roads in San Francisco.
100 hours or something.
Well, a lot of time picking up trash in an orange jumpsuit, like out of Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. Jeez. And but a guy was trying to get home. I was in San Francisco. A guy was trying to get home from L.A. to see his father who was dying of cancer. My father at the time was fighting cancer. Bill Clinton was getting a haircut. Many people believe he was getting some loving from a woman. That's the story I believe. And the guy said, had Clinton not stopped me, I would have gotten home in bed with my father. He held on as long as he could, and I would have been there when my father died. So I said, well, this is outrageous. So I went out on the bridge, the Bay Bridge, and got a haircut in a Bill Clinton mask to make fun of him. Well, it shut down traffic. And it led to hours of traffic, and people were quite upset. The judge said, if Mr. Mueller, if you ever broadcast again, it'll be from jail.
Wow.
So.
And your point?
My point was, how dare, and I don't care if it's Bill Clinton, if it's Trump, I don't care who it is, but power.
Getting in the way of that.
How dare they shut down everybody's lives because they're important.
Right.
Bill Clinton shut down, this is years ago, but shut down the world for so many people because he needed a haircut.
Yeah. This relationship with your dad, which was cut way too short, you talk about him all the time.
Yeah. I have a best-selling book,
yes.
A New York Times best-selling book about dealing with the grief.
And why do you feel that it resonated with so many people?
Look, your dad's still alive.
Yes.
What I would do to have that.
And you've said that many, many times.
5 minutes. 5 minutes, and I promise you, anybody listening or watching us right now, what would you give for 5 minutes? And by the way, not 5 minutes as he was then, but what does he know now?
Right.
What does he know of God? What does he know of what is this afterlife? I would give everything I own for 5 minutes. Wow. 5 minutes. But it's that feeling I still get, and I sometimes still reach for the phone. This was my rudder. For many men.
It was 1994 or 96, somewhere around there. And I mean, I
want to say 96.
96, yeah. And I know from, I've been a guest on your show now for close to 20 years.
Yeah.
I brought my dad in.
And I love your dad.
Yeah, and you had my dad always asks about you.
Well,
I think because what he heard like before I went in, I said, listen, when you meet Mancow, it's like a force. It's like, this is not somebody like that you meet every day. This guy is a unique individual. And I said, just go with the flow and just and he did, right? Do you remember? Because you were trying to like get him off guard. You're like, oh, Mr. Kogan, do you make love to Mrs. Kogan? You're trying to shock me.
Yeah.
And what'd my dad do?
I wasn't trying to shock you.
Yeah.
I want to know if the Kogans were still
right.
Well, he talked about making love in the garden. They like to make love outside.
Right. And you, I think you were kind of taken back, like, because he's, he came in with, remember he had his jacket on and he's a plant scientist and all of this.
Plant scientist.
Yeah, plant scientist.
Yeah.
And anyway, to this day, and that was like 12 years ago that he was on. To this day, he'll say, "So how's that friend of yours, that Mancow?" So I do hope you go.
And you're on in New Zealand.
I beg your pardon.
The show's on in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So your parents are aware that you've made it.
Well, my parents have. They don't. I don't know if they truly understand. And quite frankly, I kind of.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. They like. I remember my wife called my mom to say that I'd got a job doing something, and it was kind of a big deal for us in the house, and my mother was, oh, well, that's lovely. So I've just been in the garden and I got all the plums and I've just preserved them all. And
so, my show went to #1 in Chicago and my dad was here.
Wow.
And he's fighting cancer at a place called the Hancock Building, one of the tallest buildings on earth. And he was so weak he collapsed. And I sat down with him. And people are coming, oh, Mancow. We're sitting in the middle of this lobby, and he's crying. And he says, I'm so sorry I embarrassed you.
Really?
And I said, Dad, you couldn't embarrass me.
Wow.
You couldn't embarrass me. We'll just sit here. You taught me how to walk. I can wait for you.
Yeah.
And he saw all the commotion around me in the show, and he said, your show's doing good? I said, yeah. He goes, the music is horrible. He goes, play Benny Goodman, play Glenn Miller, give them, if they got to hear something other than this horrible rock, this horrible music you play. He said, and also, son, and I don't have much time left on the earth, learn how to cut hair or do something, because you're gonna need to fall back on something. So, I mean, that's the way they thought, right?
Right.
I mean, we didn't have money for Tupperware. We had old Cool Whip, right? We had old Cool Whip containers because they went through the Depression.
Yep.
My
parents did the same thing to me. Like
jar. We had jelly jars for glasses.
My mother to this day still collects containers. And you open up a drawer and all these containers full out.
That's crazy.
Because they grew up in that very tough time where you didn't throw anything away. My grandfather had 3 sheds. And in the sheds were a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
And he knew where everything was.
Right.
And those things helped him fix other things because you couldn't just go afford to buy something new. You had to fix it.
You're not going to throw away a good jelly jar.
Right.
Yeah.
But those people that have come through, who came through that depression, that came through our parents' generation, and then
the greatest generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So talk to me about, I'm as you know, I'm from New Zealand. I love New Zealand, but the opportunities are much better here for what I do in America, and I love America, and I've fallen in love with this country and the people. Talk to me about free speech and something that you wear on your arm, something that you're so passionate about. What does it mean to you? And is it changing? Do you what's happening with free speech right now?
Well, free speech is dying. The majority of, just over the majority of high school kids, according to a recent poll, was we should have fines for people that say things that make you uncomfortable.
Right.
I sat with a group of Canadians, and they believe you should be put in jail if you say things. They're very intelligent, lovely people. And they believe you should be put in jail if you say something that makes the community uncomfortable.
Where it becomes very difficult for people to get their heads around the idea of free speech is who ultimately is making up the rules about what is acceptable and not acceptable, right? Which free speech, define free speech for people who maybe live outside America and they don't know what that means. What does it mean?
I have been fined millions of dollars. So there is no free speech. It's like so many things in America. Land of the free, land of the free, land of the free, land of the free. It's brainwashing. Free speech, America, free speech. You don't really have free speech. And I wouldn't say it here and I wouldn't say it anywhere. I wouldn't say it to you off the mic. But there are certain groups I can't talk about because they'll destroy you. And I won't work again and I have kids. So you want to know who's running things, Phil? Who can't you talk about? Who can't you talk about on CBS? Who can't I talk about on the radio? That's who's running things. And I'm not some weird conspiracy guy. There are just certain things it's not worth it. It's not worth it. There are fights I don't want to pick.
Right.
I had a guy that politically didn't like me, so every day he would file a complaint with the government. Every single day, no matter what. And he would say, Mancow said the F word today. Well, I didn't, but I had to lawyer it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like being
So you
clusters.
get bogged down in all of this.
He said the F word at 7:15. The government would write me, we need the tape from 2 months ago where and then you have to fight it. And this was every single day. He's since gone away. But so free speech. And I want to tell you something else. What's happening now in America is it's all partisan. I don't like what you have to say, and you shouldn't have a right to say it. And that's frightening to me. We have to protect the people that make us uncomfortable. How about that?
Yeah.
It's the stuff you agree with. Well, yeah. It's the stuff you don't agree with. Listen, I'm a Christian, okay? And
define that.
Well, I follow the teachings of the New Testament.
Okay.
I try to.
Yep.
And I fail every day miserably. Okay? I'm horrible at it. But I aspire to that. I try.
And is that surprising to some people, do you think?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But you know, there was an art display where you got to walk on pictures of Jesus' mother Mary. I'm not a Catholic, so. And you know, there was a cross upside down in Nevada urine. Publicly funded, taxpayer money. That's offensive to me. But it's freedom. It's freedom. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
I don't believe you should burn the American flag.
Right.
I think I should be able to punch you if I see you burn the American flag, but that's free speech. And that upsets people. You know, I have a lot of military listeners, a lot of military fans. Mancow, you're okay with them burning the flag? No, I'd like to kick the shit out of somebody that does that.
Right.
But you should have the right to. It's a free society.
Right.
And if you want to make a statement, fine. But what people miss, and here's what I'm trying to say to you, is I should be able to disagree with you. Free speech doesn't mean you say whatever you want. And I got free speech. No, I should be able to counter. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I get exactly what you're saying.
I like every wackadoodle to have a point of view. I like everybody to be able to talk. That's what I agree with.
So for people who maybe misunderstand you,
yeah,
and like you've said before, you've had people say to you, "Wow, they get like."
Yeah.
Look, I've gotten to know you over the years. I've seen the softer side of you.
Yes.
Why do you feel like you're?
Well, what did they tell you? Debbie Marcus, is that the girl? That's the woman I would go to that books everything.
Yeah.
I'm sure she said, "Be careful."
No,
they didn't tell you be careful.
No. Debbie is a big fan of yours.
No, I know,
yeah.
but I think she also says, you know, to whoever, you're going on that show. He's cool, but
no. But I think here's the thing, your brain fires at 1,000,000 miles an hour. You know, the first time I was ever on your show, I remember the speed at which you came in, and you know, I'm calling from the other coast, right?
Yeah.
I'm calling from Los Angeles, and you've
been
been up since 2:30.
Horrible.
You know,
Horrible.
and you come in and you're just like
Horrible.
boom, and the contrast between you know what these radio tours are like. You might do 30 radio interviews in the morning. I get to Mancow, and now I know you, and I know how it works, and I know that the speed at which you're moving. So I think with the bookings, you know, you talked about Debbie and who does the bookings at CBS. I think she knows that somebody has to be ready for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If they
prep them, they tell them, oh, this is
listen,
different.
you got to be ready for this because you are different. The speed at which you operate that board. I've been
the control board.
The control board on radio. First of all, it's very rare to see somebody who has a show operating their own board.
You can't have timing.
Right.
That's a joke. You can't have timing if you. I got to be able to hit things to time it. Something else I want to tell you about. The Chicago radio listener has less of an attention span than a goldfish. This is a fact.
That's a fact.
You have to grab them immediately. You have a few seconds. Think about you sitting in your car, punch, and you move on. If I don't grab them, so I got you on from The Amazing Race.
Yeah.
You've been sitting on hold for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Phil, what do you got going? Blah, 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 blah. And then I hang up.
Yeah.
Another thing that people don't know.
I remember that the first time. The first time I was ever.
Everybody says you don't say goodbye.
Yeah.
On TV shows.
And I didn't know what was, and I was like,
watch TV shows.
Hello.
TV shows now.
Yeah.
For some reason, goodbye, or okay, they turn it off.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Phil, and these long goodbyes.
Yeah.
Phil, hey, love you. Hey, man, great.
You haven't got time.
No,
Yeah.
because the listeners turn it off. And I'll tell you another thing. You want to know the number one word that gets people to turn off the radio?
Goodbye?
No. The number one word.
I don't know.
This is great. You'll never forget this. Book.
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 Okay.
I can never say it. You're dead. Phil Kogan's on. Phil, tell me about your whatever. Phil's got a book. The minute you say you've got a book, they don't want to hear it.
Is that right?
People reading, if they sense you're reading, they turn off the dial. And the other thing is, Springer really had to fight this. Remember all the people yelling on?
Yeah.
The minute they turn off the radio. Everybody talking at once.
Yeah.
Also, if you don't identify who you are.
Yes.
So that's why I had to keep saying, this is Phil Kogan. People come and go from the conversation. Who is this? Who's this? They're talking about traveling, Italy, Japan. Turn it off.
No.
Phil Kogan, we're talking traveling. Yeah.
As a compliment, I just want to tell you that, again, the speed at which your brain operates and the way that you're able to move the board and the timing, as you said, because just right off the back of something, boom, you just pot something up. Where does all that preparation come from? Because I'm thinking,
just from years, and it is a dance, and it is jazz, and there is a flow to it.
But where did those clips come from, and who's prepping all of that stuff for you?
Me and my crew.
So what time do you come in the morning? Your show's on.
I get up at 2:30 every day, and we go on the air at 5:30. I get here around 4 a.m.
And so all the clips that you pulled today on your radio show, you were just...
It's happening instantly.
It's unbelievable.
Right.
I mean, it really is. I mean, you really are a master at what you do.
Listen, I went through hell. I started in 84, and I went through hell because other radio shows would, cheese, you like cheese? I like cheese for 2 hours. Cheese, what kind of cheese you like? Oh, I like that kind of cheese. It's insane. I get bored. When I'm bored, I cut you off or I move on.
Yeah.
When I'm getting bored, I think the listener is. And I was ahead of the curve because I was brought up on USA Today newspaper and MTV, so everything was concise. Long form doesn't work for me, and radio is, and now I was ahead of the curve, but I got beat up over this. Talk about one thing an hour, they would say. Yeah. Well, I talk about 100 things an hour.
Yeah, you're jumping all over the place.
Because if I get bored, I assume the listener's bored, and I move on.
How long does the average listener tune into a radio station?
15 minutes.
Okay.
15 minutes.
So that's what you're thinking about, right?
Yes.
Well, how much can I pack into that 15 minutes
That's what I'm trying to do.
Of listening?
Yeah.
And so where do you source your stuff from? When you come in at 2:30 and your team...
Look,
you want to be part of the zeitgeist. I mean, that's the key.
I had the. This is so bizarre. I had the FCC, the governing body of radio, for you too, in TV. The FCC called me, and they were all on the. This is during the Bush administration. How do you pick stuff?
They said that.
Yeah. How do you decide what gets on the air? And I'm going to tell you what it is. Emotion. 100%.
So you and the FCC, and they're just a part of your life. They've been a part. I mean,
right.
Do you lose sleep over this?
No, it hasn't been bad for a long time.
Right.
It was very bad during the Clinton years. Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. And I had good cop, bad cop. I had a government agency come and say, you have a license through the government. This station's worth $125 million. You have a license? Yeah. Your brother does this, and it's licensed? Yeah. Your mom hasn't paid off her home, and that's Bill Clinton's going to be in town for the convention. We would hate for you to say anything bad about him. And the message is, we'll take your station, we'll destroy your family, and you better play nice. So guess what I did? I didn't say anything bad about Clinton during that time.
Wow.
And again, all
Does
of
that
them.
make you angry?
It is what it is.
Yeah.
But again, you want to go left and right. You want to go Democrat, Republican, all this. I'm telling you, I've been doing this a long time. I've been behind the scenes. I worked for the Fox News Channel for 7 years. I've been with all these guys are now in jail I hung out with in Chicago. And here's what I'm going to tell you. And people go, no, they can't believe it. It's all fake. It's pro wrestling. I like that phony guy. Bill Hicks used to say that. I like that phony guy. It's all the same. You're dealing with all the same.
Right.
So.
Do you worry about where the country is at right now?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah. I think we've forgotten what we fought for. I think we are forgetting freedom. And I think we are forgetting the guys that actually work for a living. I find the Entertainment Tonight culture, and I interview all these people, and you hang out with them, but I find the Entertainment Tonight culture to be absolutely frightening. What am I talking about? That somehow we care about, and I don't have anything against Angelina Jolie, but we care about her view. And what about the people that are actually out in it, in the trenches, working hard, paying the taxes, and keeping this all together?
Do you remember what happened when Roseanne's show went on and people went there in droves? Like, the numbers were through the roof. All of a sudden, I think that group of people that connected with her in what she was saying, It felt real to them, and they went there in droves.
Yeah.
Just the idea that she was speaking to a group of people that felt like they were the forgotten people.
Yeah.
And they talk a lot about the coastal elite. One of the reasons that, again, I want to do this Tough as Nails show is just to get to the guy who's digging in the coal mine.
Yeah.
Like, and he doesn't know what the hell's going on in Washington. All he knows is that the coal mine, that all, his grandfather and grandfather after him worked in, is suddenly being shut down, right? And his job is being taken away. And they just don't feel like they're being addressed, that somebody in Washington is making decisions about their world. So
I don't know why I'm going here, but will you allow me a flight of fancy?
Of course.
In L.A., it's who you know.
Yes.
Okay? So I know you, and I know some other. That's important. Who do you know? In New York, it's what school did you go to? You're judged on what school you went to.
Mm-hmm.
And then really the rest of us here in the middle of America is forgotten. It really is flyover. And when I'm talking billionaires and executives, and one guy that's now the president, what are people in Chicago really like? What are they? They don't have a concept. People in LA don't have a concept of, and of course most people from LA are not from LA, but I mean they don't have a concept of what's going on here, of what's going on in the rest of the country. And I guess we all do. We're all in our own little bubble, and I hope your show can open some eyes.
Well, I grew up where people talked about the pride that people had for what they did, their trade.
Yeah.
It was like seen as a badge of honor that if you were a really good plumber, or my other grandfather was a good builder, that was like a real, wow, look at him, he's amazing.
Yeah.
And then we sort of got away from that, and there's this whole idea that you've got to go to college to be anybody.
Yeah.
And to me, it's kind of sad. We've got, there's not a trades deficit, but we've got people that, should be in the trades, that we need in the trades, and we just don't have the...
And you make more money.
Yeah, you make great money.
So many of these, I have a theater degree and a minor in psychology. It's done nothing for me. I send 2 to 4 kids a year to my school. I spent $2,800 to go to my school, okay? And I don't think I got anything out of it, but I'll tell you what I got out of it. This is what I do think. A lot of these degrees, you're not going to be able to make money with them, but I'll tell you what I got is I saw they wanted me to be a number. Mm-hmm. They wanted me to be the last 4 digits of my Social Security number. I refused. And I got to see how the system works. So it was a nice buffer for me going from high school to the real world, because you saw what a scam it all is. It was a state university, how it all works. I saw the football players, they took their tests and go. You don't have to do anything. You can play football. You're going to be good for us. They didn't have to take any tests. I studied and worried. And I saw how clicks worked and how all of it works. So it was a nice buffer for me. But as far as real world experience, look, man, I got out of high school. I didn't know how to balance a checkbook. I didn't know how to get a job. I didn't know how to shop. They're not, I learned a lot of esoteric stuff that I've done nothing with. Same thing with college. Real world skills.
Yeah. Well, I came through that too with the education where we had woodwork, we had metalwork. I learned how to type. They taught you how to, the things that I remember the learning at school, the things that were important were those practical.
I got the metric system, so I am still messed up.
Because
I got 1 year, we're going to be metric. That was
you got that?
New math for a year or two, and then
I got both of that as well.
So my schools screwed me up real good.
You said, I just want the regular working class to be heard and to get some truth. You're going to have the movers and shakers in every industry, in the business and so on, but you want to give the people a voice.
Well, Chicago just went through a huge teacher strike.
Yes. I saw them protesting yesterday, I think it was.
And we took more calls than anybody else, and we just opened the phones, and people that they got to go to work.
Yeah.
And now their kids are going to be home. And so both sides of the issue. I like that.
You've turned radio stations around. You've taken, I think even on this radio station now that you're on, you were way down at 27 or something.
It's no. It is supernatural. And I'm not kidding you. It is supernatural. I'm great. I'm cute. I'm wonderful. I know this business.
Yeah.
You know your business, and you know what a show can do. You kind of have an idea of what Tough as Nails is going to do. You've been around. We were 35th when I came in here. We're now 5th. Okay.
And how long has that taken you?
It took 6 months.
Wow.
But it's supernatural. I mean, I prayed and I did a lot of praying. I'm telling you, I believe in prayer.
Well, I've seen what you do on your radio station, and one of the reasons I was so keen to talk to you is you've attained mastery. You've got to a place where it's so second nature. You're like the quarterback on the field where you see the play ahead of time, and that's.
Brother, you and me both. Let me tell you, the average career is how long? Do you know it's 7 years? It's 7 years.
On radio?
On anything.
Oh, on anything.
Anything in entertainment. It's
Wow.
7 years. So you have 3 years to get going.
Yep.
You get noticed. You have a couple of years of success, and then you try to hang on, and it's over.
You've got 25 or 30, haven't
Well,
you?
I started in 84.
84,
So,
okay. 34.
Well,
5.
So I've been very blessed, and you have to keep working, and you have to keep reinventing.
And how do you do that?
And ego is a killer, right? Edge got out, EGO.
Yeah.
You got to get rid of ego.
So
And,
how do you deal with people who maybe are critical of you and maybe misunderstand you?
Well,
are you able to let it go?
Opinions are like a-holes. Everybody has one. I'm sitting on one.
Right.
Everybody has an opinion. Everybody's an expert. The Yelp culture.
Yeah.
I mean, little business have been destroyed because one guy didn't like you on Yelp. So look, I'm in mass media. I want people to listen, but the masses are asses. You can't let millions of strangers decide what you are. So you have to have a strong foundation. And I do.
What keeps you going? Like, what do you?
And my biggest mistake,
Yeah.
I want to tell you, my biggest mistake was not dreaming big enough.
Really?
I got everything I dreamed
can't imagine.
of. No, brother, I got everything I dreamed of. Everything.
But you could have dreamed bigger.
I could have dreamed bigger.
Really? And what stopped you from dreaming bigger, do you think?
Brother, I dirt road in the middle of Missouri. My nearest neighbor was a half mile away. I wanted.
So you just thought that the ceiling was here, and that was all that was going to be.
I saw Lost in Space.
Yeah.
And every year I take them to dinner twice a year. Every year the crew is alive, and they're friends of mine.
Wow.
And William Shatner is a buddy of mine. He was in my wedding. But and I want to have, God, to be in a big city.
Yeah.
If I could be in a top 25 market for 1 year, I will have made it. And I can go back to the dirt roads of Missouri. And I'm here.
Yeah.
I should have dreamt worldwide radio show.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't.
Well,
I couldn't even believe I got into Chicago. And then to last, I still pinch myself. I'm just saying my mistake was I should have dreamed bigger.
What has made you last? Why is it that you've gone beyond the 7 years and you've lasted decades and you continue to be able to move up the dial?
I can tell you. Middle management doesn't look. I don't know TV, but management and TV.
Yeah.
Your bosses probably all wanted to be TV stars, and they couldn't do it, and now they're in management. You met my bosses. They're all people that wanted to be in radio. There's big thinking in 2019. Radio, AM radio. Ugh. But they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. They're failures at what I do. And they don't understand it. They don't understand me. I bet your bosses have no idea. They can't understand how you do it.
Well, I will tell you this as somebody who has to go in front of a camera and has to articulate stories. When I see what you do, I can see the level of mastery, like what you've attained.
Right.
And you make it look easy. So I can also see how people look at that and they go, well, how hard can that be?
Well,
I mean, how hard can it be?
I'm sure everybody that listens to radio thinks they can do it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm their unseen co-pilot. And I could, but I just say to those people, sit in a room and talk for an hour.
Yeah.
Just talk about anything for 1 hour, alone in a room, because that's what I have to do.
Yeah.
But so my secret sauce and why have I lasted? Audience, because I'm talking to them. I'm not doing it for the suits in this ivory tower. I'm doing it for the regular.
So
people.
how do you stay connected to those regular people? Do you go out to bars and you just meet people and
every night?
Yeah.
Every night I'm out. Yeah.
So my question about just people having a voice, right?
Yes.
I believe everybody should have a voice. But to me right now, it just seems that with these platforms, the media platforms, there's so many voices that it's becoming toxic. It's like a cesspool of, and there seems to be a lot more critiquing than creating. It's like everybody's got an opinion, and so they just get in there and they start bashing. I get so frustrated with it. My dad would always say, he would always, if I criticize something, my dad would always say to me, it's easier to critique than it is to create. He says, before you start critiquing what somebody else is doing, why don't you create something for yourself?
I wanted to do, out of love and friendship, I wanted to continue the show and just open the phones off air. Mm-hmm. And it lasted a day. And I gave everybody access.
What happened?
This isn't Mancow. Yes, it is. You don't really live there. Yes, I do. You don't really drive that car. You drive a Mercedes. I saw you. I don't drive a Mercedes. And it just got ugly. And I'm, whoa. And I hated it. Whatever. Yes, everybody's a critic. Everybody's an expert.
It just seems to be like one of the things I loved about coming to America from New Zealand was in New Zealand, you have to really downplay your success. It's part of our culture that we have this thing called tall poppy syndrome. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Okay, so imagine a field of poppies.
I remember the poppies in Wizard of Oz where they all got, woo, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
Those poppies.
Okay.
No, but imagine a field of poppies.
Yeah.
And in the field of poppies, there's one poppy that grows up.
Right.
In New Zealand, in our culture, we call it the tall poppy syndrome. If somebody rises up above the others, thinks they're better, they cut it off, right? What I found when I came to America, if you are successful,
they love that.
People are genuinely excited for you and encourage.
To a point, but the media also loves tearing you down. Yes.
Well, I'm just saying that's what one of the things that appealed was it was okay to be successful, and people wanted to lift you.
That's changing.
Now
in America.
I've noticed. Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is that now that more
you don't deserve that. You don't deserve that.
Yeah.
Why don't I have that?
Right.
That attitude's changed, and I have the exact same thing you're saying, except I got it from Japan, which is the nail that sticks up gets knocked down.
Right.
And in radio, there's a reason you click through the dial and you don't who are these people? Mm-hmm. They don't say their names, and it sounds the same all the time.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to pay a star. They don't want to pay a star. They don't want a Mancow. They don't want a quarterback. They want a day, and everybody's ratings drop. But it doesn't matter because they don't have to pay some guy. And you don't know him, and he doesn't have power, and he's not going to tell you what to do. He's not going to affect anything. So that's why you listen to radio now, and it's all bland. The nail that sticks up, the poppy that sticks up gets cut or beaten down. And so to have an opinion, to stand out, I mean, I'm in dangerous waters now because you can listen to every show in Chicago right now. What do they stand for? What are they?
But that's
nothing.
One of the reasons.
Nothing.
But that's one of the reasons that your ratings ratings do go up because people tune in whether they love you or hate you.
We are the poppy they can see.
You're somebody that they find entertaining and they want to listen to.
But bland is the way, brother, as you know.
Yeah.
I mean, a bland, no opinion, no. It's scary. Scary. I like uniqueness. I like the oddballs. I like the freak shows.
The thing I really admire about you is that you take a real, genuine interest in other people. My dad's a good observer of people, and he said that was the thing he got from you. Like you were genuinely interested in my dad. You were genuinely interested in his life.
To interrupt you, I just think about, so what do you mean? What is your point? What is your value? What is your, and you hear it from people the first things they say to you can find out who they are.
Yeah.
I'll never forget one came to me, he says, I have cancer and I'm dying. Why would you start with that? I've had women, I was molested. And I don't know what, I don't understand people that identify with the worst of their life. I've had horrible things. I'm sure you've had tragedy. Identify with the great in your life.
Yeah. I say to people, focus on what you do have and what you can do instead of what you don't have and what you can't do. And those are the people that I like to have in my orbit.
Yeah.
I want to be around people who focus on the things that are right in the world instead of what's wrong.
Your dad came in with a big smile and was an observer.
He was
under this blue dome.
Yeah.
Right? We're all together under this blue dome. Your dad came in and man, when is he going to be in Chicago again?
Yeah.
And he was, I want to know all of it. And that's how, and as you travel, that's how you are. And that's how I am.
Yeah. I take so much interest in people and everything happening around me. And I care. And one of the first things that I do, I did a show for Fox many years ago called For Breakfast Time. I went to all 50 states for 4 years. And the first thing I would do wherever I went was, they'd give me a rental car, is the first thing I'd do is turn on local radio. Because I wanted to hear what the locals were talking about.
Right.
And it'd be right down to the micro of this bridge, and everybody in town is arguing about whether they should redo the bridge or spend taxpayers' money to fix the bridge. So then I go meet the people that I'm going to talk to on air, and I go, what do you think about the bridge? And boom, all of a sudden you have a connection.
So it's the same thing I do. I call it Harold Hill from Professor Harold Hill from Music Man.
Yep.
What's the problem? Oh, it's the pool table. We got problems, my friend, right here in the city. That's my radio show.
Yeah.
I'm Harold Hill.
Yeah.
What are they talking about?
Yeah.
So what is the hot button subject? Not what I want to talk about. What do they want to talk about?
Yeah. But that curiosity that you have,
and I have to eat it.
Through.
I have to eat it the rest, no matter where I am on Earth.
Yeah.
And I travel the world like you do, not as much. because I got to work. But I want to know where's the greasy spoon? Where is it the real people eat?
Where do you get
I
real
want
coffee?
your sandwich.
Yeah.
I want your real coffee.
Can you? A couple of crazy stunts that you've done before. First of all, you decided you're going to waterboard yourself. What the hell were you thinking? What was that about?
I wanted to waterboard myself.
Yes.
To prove that it wasn't torture.
Okay. Now, we know what the result was.
Maybe your listeners don't.
But I want to talk about, first of all, what is waterboarding for people? They've heard about it. Maybe they don't understand how it works. How does it work?
And he didn't, and you have to be at this angle. It's all nonsense, because people say, well, he didn't really get waterboarded because his head wasn't. Waterboarding is simple. You put your head back and pour water through your nose. And I want to tell you what the experience is like. Imagine you have a TV on your head,
right,
and someone's getting the plug going like that. So my brain was shutting on and off, and I thought, well, you'll breathe. I don't want you to try it, but you can't explain it. What I thought it was, they threw water in this guy's face. Who cares? That stuff. No, it shuts off your brain. You can't breathe. You're basically your whole system, the electrical system of your brain. I mean, it was being shut off.
It's shorting out, basically.
Yeah.
So, and what was the motivation behind that?
Well, because they were saying all these poor people are being tortured. I said, look, if we can prevent another 9/11, who cares if they're putting water down some guy's goozle? Right. Now, I do think it's torture, but I also think if you can save a few thousand lives or more, that's the debate.
So, it was your idea to get this done? You said it, or did somebody suggest it to you?
No, I wanted to do it because I wanted to prove that it wasn't torture,
right.
And I was wrong.
Right.
I was wrong.
Okay.
Got a lot of attention around the world.
Yeah.
Interesting who treated me well and who didn't, media-wise.
Yeah.
I was buried alive in a casket for 3 days.
That I don't understand.
6 feet under in a casket. No, there was a hole for air, a tube.
I don't know how the hell you did that.
And it was horrific. When I came out of there, my wife was doing a documentary for her college. She needed something. She heard me on the radio. She came and filmed me coming out. And we met. That's how we met. So it was a great thing. But
can you just explain that again? You're underground.
In a coffin.
In a coffin.
Yes. 6 feet
6 feet
underground.
like a regular sized coffin.
70,000 people came and paid $1 for charity.
You hearing this guy?
But I want to tell you, I got hypnotized. It didn't work.
Did you have a emergency button?
Yes. But let me. Where did I go to the bathroom?
In the coffin.
Yeah. What did I eat? I had some granola bars, and I had some water with me around the coffin. So it was horrific. So from the second I got in there, don't freak out. Calm down. That's all I could do was talk myself into not. Now, they had a crew there, and it would take 15 minutes to get me out. If you have a heart attack or anything, it's 15 minutes. When it was time to get me out, it took hours. Because they lied to me. They had poured cement over me so that it wouldn't collapse and the people could stand there. So they had to jackhammer through the cement, which was excruciating, and then it took forever to dig me out.
I honestly, mentally, that has got to be the toughest thing I have ever heard anybody do.
It was brutal. I was submerged alive for 4 days. That was the same weekend that Princess Diana passed away. That's how I remember, because I was
97.
Princess Diana. Was underwater for 4 days.
You put yourself in a
off.
box and got delivered.
Yeah. This job, I had FedEx deliver me.
Yeah. Now
that was fun. But and I was frozen in an ice cube, which I thought it would be an igloo effect.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. You're hot in there, so the ice melted, and so I'm sitting there in freezing cold water for 4 days. And people would come and look at me in this giant ice cube, walk around it, and give $1 for charity.
You know, you're quite nutty, don't
you?
It's
stupid. Believe me when I tell you, I'm amazed I was able to have kids, because it was tough. It was tough. The delivery thing was claustrophobic too.
Wow.
And they're lifting me on the truck, and
you are
a
one
year
of
ago.
A kind.
I shipped myself. Shipped. I said shipped.
You shipped yourself.
I shipped myself.
You did ship yourself. Yes. Was it an overnight delivery or 3 days?
That's how you get everything in America, including a new radio host.
Ground or air. Yeah. Oh, wow.
Okay,
so I'd like to ask you this question.
Uh-oh.
You're gonna take a road trip. Let's say you're taking a road trip from Chicago and you're driving to L.A.
Yeah.
And you can take 3 people from any time in history in the car with you.
I have to say my dad, right?
I'm guessing you would.
But if we're talking famous people, it'd be Jesus, Elvis, John Steinbeck. Wow. Travels with Charlie, that John Steinbeck book, where his last book, where he travels America with his dog Charlie, and he meets people and writes about it, real people.
All right, so your last day on Earth, Mancow. What would you do with it? If you knew you were going to be living your last day on Earth, what would you want? How would you want that day to play out? Who would you want to be with? Where would you want to be?
I'd want to be in my room in New Zealand watching your parents get it on in the garden with binoculars. Well, you know, I'd want to have final words with my wife and kids.
Yeah, with your wife and kids.
My dad comes out of the. He's dying. He's 62. Mm-hmm. He comes. It's hospice is called. The patches are on, the morphine patches. He's done. But he's fighting anyway. He fights to come out of it. And we're not going to end on a laugh line. We're going to end on tears again. And I'm holding his hand, and he says different things to my brothers and my mom, and he gets to me. And so he came out of the drug so that he could be coherent one last time, and then he knew he was going to be put back under, and he wasn't coming back. Okay, do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely, I do.
So he says, "And son, anything else?" No. We covered it. I got it. And anyway, no, we covered it. How beautiful is that? No, I already know it all.
Wow.
And those little nuggets, and they stay with you.
And he was your biggest fan too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That's
So
and he lives with you. You can see it.
Oh,
there isn't a day that goes by you don't think of your dad, right?
Yeah. No, come on.
Yeah.
So
and how cool is it that you have that? You know what I mean? Right in here, you got him right here.
I hope that with my kids, I've got two 14-year-old daughters, and just yesterday, one of them rolled her eyes at me. That's where our communication is. And you think, these silly things that my dad said all the time.
Yeah.
About work ethic and do this and do
finish
that.
Finish a job. You're going to do it right. Do it properly.
Yeah. And always send a thank you note.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what a difference that's made in my life.
Yeah.
A handwritten thank you note.
Same
always
thing
thank people.
Yeah.
And a thankful heart is always close to riches.
Yeah.
A thankful heart is always blessed. And so these stupid things he would say, well, to me at the time, write a thank you note. Okay. Mm-hmm. Table manners.
Yep.
Son, I don't care if you eat with your hands, but you're going to need table manners.
Yeah.
And I was making $70,000 a year in San Francisco, and $3.5 million job offer in Chicago. And I sat down with this guy, Jimmy DeCastro, and it was over, and he said, I know Mancow's a wild man. He goes, you have excellent table manners. I'm really impressed with your table manners. And I called my dad. You were right. These things matter. So all this annoying stuff, I hope that with my kids, put your napkin in your lap, say thank you. You hope these things come back, that someday they get it.
Mancow, people listening to the podcast all over the world, they want to hear some of your radio show. Yeah. Is there any way for them to tap into, find you online?
Yeah. We're very proud of the fact that you can go to Siri and say Mancow. We advertise it. And I was at a party in Ocean City, Maryland, with 300 people. And how can we hear you? I said, it's easy. There's Siri, play Mancow. Mancow is a child model in radio. Play Mancow. They couldn't figure. Alexa, play Mancow. Couldn't figure it out. It's Mancow, and a lot of the shows are online. I have a podcast, and you can find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mancow, you are one of a kind, and I hope we continue to talk to each other over the years.
We will.
I hope you end up in New Zealand to see my mom and dad.
How about you do my show and you say off the air, it's canceled. It's done. Amazing Race is done. Do you remember this?
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, I like him and I like the show. Well, he'll do something. The next time you come on, you've just won an Emmy and the show got picked up after all, and you're off to the races.
And
so peaks and valleys.
And we're at 32 seasons. I mean, it's crazy.
Can I say one? We'll end on something powerful here. I'm with William Shatner.
Yeah.
Okay? He's nearing in on 90. He's in my car. Favorite sandwich, a Subway sandwich with vegetables. I'm taking you to Captain Kirk likes the Subway sandwich, just vegetables. He says, run it through the garden. And I said, why are you still around? So many of your contemporaries are forgotten. Why do we still know your name? And he's got his hand out the window and he does that thing. Up and down, up and down. I said, Bill, I don't get it. He goes, peaks and valleys.
Peaks and valleys.
And it's biblical too.
Yeah.
You don't stop in the valley. It doesn't say stop in the valley.
Yeah.
You
climb back out again.
You may sometimes be at the table with your enemies.
Yeah.
But you don't sit at that table. And he's just at peaks and valleys. I keep walking.
Yeah.
You walk through the valley to get back to the mountaintop, and that's what you've done. You've walked through the valley, and how many mountaintops have you had? Keep going.
Keep going. You know, the analogy that I always use to people is I say, you get on a wave, you're out surfing, and you ride that wave, and it's a great wave. But what you know is that wave is eventually going to break, and then you got to fight your way back through the breakers to try to catch another one.
Now, can I say, you got time for one more thing?
Yeah.
Your cameraman's giving me a thumbs up, so I think I can do it.
Yeah.
The Dalai Lama.
Yes.
I interviewed the Dalai Lama.
Wow.
And I said, I'm a fighter.
Did he come in here or was over the phone?
It was not here, but it was in person at another location.
Okay.
And I said, I keep, oh, I'll give you another quick thing. I said, women, I'm married, but I just still feel lost. I don't, and he goes, he held up his finger, he goes, ego. And I went, wow, okay, that really, and it may not work for anybody listening. For me at the time, it was like a concussion. Wow. And then I said, I'm a fighter, man. I keep fighting and I fight and I get back up. And he says, stay down. And I'm telling you, fight. And any room you fight to get into, you don't want to be there. And I would fight my way in like a bull, like a Mancow in the China shop, a bull in the China. I would fight my way in, and now I'm celebrated, not tolerated. I've been a lot of places where I was tolerated.
Yeah.
And now if you just let it happen, right?
Yeah.
So it resonated with me.
Yeah.
So yes, I fight. Yes, I work hard, but I also don't want to be where I'm not welcome.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. Well, it also for peace of mind.
Yeah.
I think you want to be, that's the whole thing too, is as you get older, you just you care less about what other people think, and you just live in your space.
I don't care anymore at all.
And you just live with, and then you just hang with the people you want to hang with.
Dick Van Dyke, the day I got married, he's in the studio. I said, you've been married. What's advice? He says, well, there's boundaries. And you choose. Is it prison? Is it Sing Sing? Or is it Disneyland? And I made a choice. It's Disney. Yeah, there's boundaries. It's Disney World. And that's what I live. Thanks, buddy. Always love seeing you.
You are a unique individual.
Thank you, brother.
Don't you think, Scotty? I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. To see more great interviews, go to philkogan.com and subscribe to Bucket with Phil Kogan wherever you get your podcasts. Please consider rating and reviewing us. And follow BUCKiT, that's Bucket with an IT, on Instagram and Facebook. Also, follow me on Twitter @PhilKogan. Today's podcast proudly brought to you by BUCKiT Nutrition. Great tasting, high-performance nutrition to power your adventure. Don't forget to go to Amazon.com, search for BUCKiT Nutrition, and use promo code BUCKIT10, that's Bucket with an IT, and you'll get a 10% discount on all BUCKiT nutritional products. Just wait until you try the BUCKiT Booster with Manuka Honey.